Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today's idiom is like there's no tomorrow, and we use it when we are doing something with such passion, enthusiasm, maybe excessively, it looks like the world is about to end. Let me give you some examples. At the party, they danced like there was no tomorrow. He was spending money like there's no tomorrow. Knowing the deadline was coming, she worked on the project like there was no tomorrow. Now, you can use there was no tomorrow if you're talking about something in the past, but because it's an idiom, it doesn't matter. You don't need to change it. But you can't use it with any other tenses. So you can't say like there will be or like there has been. Okay, it just doesn't work. Okay, so like there's no tomorrow. One of the alternatives to that I like is like a knife going through butter. Like a knife going through butter. Because when you open a tub of butter and you put the knife to spread the butter on your toast, it kind of glides across very easily. So there we are, like a knife going through butter. I always use those spreads. I don't use pure butter because it's too hard. I like the tubs of butter spread or margarine where the knife goes through it quite easily. Like a knife going through butter and like there's no tomorrow, they both have the same meaning. Now remember, when you're using these, pull your mouth down. Okay, so your top lip should be stiff, and we British people always talk by moving the bottom part of our mouth. Okay, my name is Bond, James Bond. It's one of the reasons why we always look so unhappy. We're not accustomed to talking horizontally, which might make you think that we're smiling. Well, speaking like there's no tomorrow, I was at IKEA the other day, and for those of you who don't know what IKEA is, it's like a really large furniture store where everything is flat pack. You basically have to build it yourself. People who go to IKEA usually are people who are very good with assembling things. I'm not. It just happened to be across from the supermarket that I was visiting. And IKEA always do delicious foods. So I just went in there to the cafe. And there was a woman there, and she really was eating like there was no tomorrow. She started off with Swedish meatballs, and then she moved on to almond cake. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a delicious cake that IKEA make. Not only IKEA, you can buy it in supermarkets. It's like a cheesecake, but it's with almonds. And she started eating this thing like there was no tomorrow. Honestly, she really was like a knife going through butter with her food. And she kept going back for more and more. It was very impressive, really. And then at the end, after the dessert, she went back for another hot dog. Now, that just shows that British people, we don't taste food. We're not able to stop eating after we have a particular type. I'm like that when I go to Chinese buffets. I'll happily eat all the hot food, have a dessert, and then go back again for more hot food. It sounds crazy, but we Brits don't really have a sense of taste. We just eat to fill our bellies. you So it was a bit strange to see, I have to say. And these days, of course, I'm trying to be very careful with my diet. So it was impressive how much she was able to eat. So she was eating like there was no tomorrow. I see the BBC are running a story on IKEA today because there's a new nightclub just opened with capacity for 15,000 people. And it used to be an IKEA. In fact, it was IKEA's flagship store. A flagship of anything, whether it's a radio program, a radio station, or a company, is the shop or place which demonstrates the values of the company. It might be the biggest or most glorious place for the particular company. For example, Apple's flagship store in London, the first one in London, I think is in Oxford Street. And this IKEA store, which was in Tottenham, was their flagship store, so it probably was bigger than the others. And it was sold and now is a nightclub. And for many of those people who are attending that nightclub with such huge capacity, it won't be the first time they've been inside it because it was an IKEA warehouse. IKEA shops all look like warehouses. It's a Swedish furniture maker. Well, they closed this branch in 2022, leaving behind 608,000 square feet. And for those of you who prefer the metric system, that's 56,485 meters square. Of course, IKEA, had those familiar looking aisles, those very tall shelves, and they've all been replaced by large panoramic screens, sound systems, light displays, and where the cafe was is where where the DJ sits. Very interesting, isn't it? How they can convert these things. But I suppose a shop like IKEA, it would be a little bit like an old church. It would be very empty. It would have the high ceilings. It would be a good place for clubbers to go, I suppose. And around London, many clubbers often move into abandoned warehouses illegally just so that they can have a nightclub there. It's very common. But this one's completely legal. The owners say they had some teething problems. So a teething problem is a problem in the beginning. So if you think of a baby and his teeth coming through, that's when he cries, isn't it? So teething problems. Yes, teething problems. That's how we talk about initial problems during setup. So this company is saying that they got the IKEA warehouse, but you have to get permission from the local government to have a nightclub, to make sure it's not disturbing the neighbors. They had some trouble getting that initially. And also, of course, health and safety regulations is another big thing that needs to be examined. But finally they got it. And the people are saying that it's really strange because they're staggering out of this nightclub at 4 a.m. And it's just like IKEA. It still has the flag poles outside. You remember IKEA has all of those large flags outside the stores. And then it also has that bay where you put the trolleys. So people are saying it's a little bit odd because those things are still there. The only thing that's different is getting a taxi at 4 a.m. Other people have said that part of the old cafe has also been turned into a huge bar with beers and cocktails rather than meatballs and hot dogs. It's interesting, isn't it? Um, yes, and it's been decorated with Halloween decorations last weekend. There's a one-way system to help people get in and out quickly as well. Oh, wow, it's difficult to imagine, isn't it? Every room has a different feel. Well, I suppose younger people might not really remember it. Well, actually, no, young people would remember it as being an IKEA. It's only been a few years. It's older people probably wouldn't be going to that nightclub anyway, because nightclubs tend to be for younger people to do whatever it is that young people do at nightclubs. I really don't know. I think they've changed a lot since my day. Apparently, they're saying that nighttime spaces in London are under huge threat at the moment. They're facing massive challenges after COVID because the way people socialize now is different, especially after the pandemic. So, very interesting, isn't it, that an IKEA store can be converted into a nightclub? This new nightclub is called Drum Sheds, and you can read the whole article on the BBC website today. It's called Drum Sheds: What It's Like to Go Clubbing in an Old IKEA. So if that floats your boat, you can find it in the culture section of the BBC website. There we are. You might need to do a search on that, because by the time you hear this, it may have disappeared in favor of a more important news story. And that's it from me. So I hope you've enjoyed this. So remember, whatever you're choosing to do today, do it like there's no tomorrow. Enjoy yourself and get in touch with your passion. There we are. So see you all soon. Take care. Bye.